weekends, my weekends. Welcome to the Magic Our Way podcast here on YouTube. On this show, we have Danny, Eli, Lee, and I am Kevin. So, for this series of shows, we'll be reviewing the fourth episode of Loki, which was released on Disney Plus in the United States on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. So, first of all, I just want to welcome back Lee to the podcast, or the video version of the podcast, as we've been missing you, sir.
Glad to be here.
I ain't missed him at all.
I'm missing you at all.
Since you've been gone.
Hey.
I ain't missing you, Lee.
Missing Lee.
But just want to give him props because he's juggernaut of this thing. He watched the entire thing recently today, so he watched all the episodes.
He watched
Loki
all. I thought
all of it.
I thought he quit the show. So I am very proud that he caught up and felt that Marvel moment. Nice on you, B.
Yeah,
I might quit after having edited this last show that we had.
Well, you're still not done though.
That's all right. We got Susie on speed dial. You let us know.
You can just edit and we'll just have her come in.
If she don't answer, we'll call Rachel.
There you go.
You don't answer.
Call William.
Yeah, we'll call William. All of them.
Right down that road.
William.
You're irreplaceable.
Bunch of backups.
All right.
Yes.
Nice on you.
So, usually what we like to do is do a little around the room and just kind of talk about how we felt about the episode. And usually I toss it over to Eli. I don't know, Eli, should we let Lee have the first word this week since this is his first chance to be on it, or would you like to take it? Either way works.
He just caught up. No, he's been missing it for like 4 episodes. I can't just let him just have the raise like that.
That sounds good to me. So, Eli, take it away, sir. What do you think? We're going to do the rating 1 to 10, like we've been doing. So, go with it, Marvel Master.
Loki. This episode, I got to give it a 9. I tell you what, it felt like a serious like Marvel comic. I was into it. It had some twists, some spills, way better than the last episode. Way better. There was some need maybe for a little more exposition, slow build, but oh my, like it had a good fit of the mythos. It had a good fit of the action that I like to see. You can tell you're past that 3rd episode hump, and great cliffhanger. Loved it.
Awesome. Yeah. Danny?
Oh, wow. I get to jump Lee on this one.
Jumping.
Right. Cool. I give it a 10. Perfect 10.
Nice.
It really felt nice to be back on the edge of my seat again.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing where it was going, enjoying every minute of it, being like, they didn't just do that, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they did that too?
What?
Man, this was the one episode when it ended. I'm like, no, I can't wait a week. I need to know exactly where it's going. I need to have it all now. I was kind of surprised to see that you liked it because there until the end there really was no action in this.
Yes, that's why I gave it the 9.
Just because of the lag. See, I did not miss. It wasn't like this is getting boring, too much talky. I was engrossed the entire time.
I mean, we could get. I mean, I know everybody's got to go around the room, but I think like essentially with all of the talkity, like characters that should have been who they were, they kind of like were altered. And so, like, I didn't get it until the end. So it kind of weakened itself. And look, I could go into the story later, but yeah, some of it was a little weak. But we'll get into that. But I felt like a comic book, like literally, felt like a comic book.
Like you're reading one. That's excellent.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. I didn't really notice a weakness in the episode. In fact, I kind of felt like they accomplished more in the beginning of this episode with the conversations between Loki and Sylvie than what they accomplished in all of last episode and trying to make you feel like we're building a relationship. Within less than a few minutes, they had a conversation. It felt like a real conversation, unlike the last episode. And within no time, they established a bond that in 35 minutes they could not establish in episode 3, in my view. So I'll say that.
Yeah, and that was a very erect Bond, and we'll get into that a little bit later for sure.
Wow.
But
I didn't say that. That was Kevin's.
That's a metaphor. That's what you did, right? I like that.
I don't think it was a metaphor. I think he's
yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, I didn't want to spoil anything there. So
that's why you're.
But anyway, I'll explain that later. Yes, exactly. But anyway, I'm giving this about 9.5 even, I think. This definitely redeemed itself from the last week's episode. I was definitely engrossed in it from the get-go. Even the talky parts were fine with me. Every single point, there's like a left turn, a right turn, a U-turn. It was all kind of turns. It was all kind of crazy, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself for. I don't even know how long that episode. It just went for me, and it was all but nothing but awesome. So, yeah, I'm definitely much happier this week than last week. So this is I'm looking forward to the push to the end. I didn't want it to end, but I know we got 2 more weeks of this because that's how they planned it out. So hopefully I can make it through, and we'll see how it goes. I know we're gonna have Black Widow in between there, so I don't know if that's enough to tide us over to the season ending, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So now I will turn it over to Lee, who has seen all 4 in succession, which is a little bit of a different experience that we have. We've been catching it each and every week. So I'm curious to know what you think of this Marvel series. So Lee, I turn it over to you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a different perspective seeing it build over 4 episodes as opposed to waiting to see what happens, waiting to see what happens, waiting to see what happens. So I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage, but it was a lot to take in, obviously 4 episodes in a row. But just this episode in particular, I was definitely invested again, because at that point I'd been 3 hours of my life up until this point to get to episode 4, and I was
you weren't really doing all that much,
right?
I mean,
was it really that bad for you?
It's like 3 hours. You would have been just petting the dog, or
you didn't listen to our
Pet the pooch
of this. You could have just
eating at Buc-ee's, going to
Chick-fil-A, doing the chicken sandwich challenge.
Yeah, but I mean, so I don't know. Like, I guess we're not doing spoilers right now, but
no,
not right
I'm like,
now,
well, wait a minute. How is this happening right now when there's still 2 episodes left? Like, I thought that could have been the last episode. Like, now you got to wait till next season to figure out what happens.
No,
there's still.
But I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's still a whole lot left.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this show, this particular episode was so good that it's like that. I thought that was going to be the end of it. I'm like, no, there's still 2 more.
No,
so number 1, I'll go with the 9. Also, not one to shoot my 10 until later. Let me see what happens in the next 2 episodes.
Don't shoot your 10.
Well, I'm just curious. I'll ask Lee. So I know you are, you like, who is this guy? Who's that guy? So the episodes leading up to this one for you so far, they've been solid for you. Or what?
Well, what I like about this show, it's a lot like The Mandalorian, that I don't feel like you need to know a lot of that backstory. Unlike WandaVision, I felt like you really needed to know some of those, like who that character is and they belong to this faction or whatever. I just feel like this particular show, I'm able to just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. Just, it's a cool show, cool character. I mean, I've seen some of the Marvel movies, so I'm familiar with Loki, but I'm not sure about if there's some weird hidden Easter eggs that I'm missing or anything, but I didn't feel like I needed to know anything. I could just walk in, have a good time, cool show, enjoyed it.
There you go, Layman's. You could watch it and love it.
Yeah, and I definitely do think that they did a better job in building the TVA than they did building Sword in the WandaVision episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I absolutely do think that. But yeah, Kevin? Oh no, I'm sorry, you already went. So yeah, we said it all, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we said all the non-spoiler stuff. Is there anything else that anyone want to divulge before we dive into it? Because I'm kind of eager to get into it.
I want to do the happy, festive spoiler music, dude. Like,
all right, let's do it, guys. So now that we've done, let's dive into the details. But first, I must give you a spoiler warning. If you have not watched the show yet or this episode or don't want anything ruined for you, make sure you hit pause right now. Save this video, come back to us later as we get into the spoiler-filled section. And here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Jazz hands.
So how I'm going to ruin it this week for those that have stayed tuned, I don't know, everybody getting pruned up in this thing.
Dang.
So we got Mobius getting pruned. We got Loki getting pruned. We got the what are the freaking timekeepers or animatronics? You know,
That killed me.
things crazy up in here, man. All that. So
Killed me.
Yeah, it was like the
now that I fully ruined it for y'all,
Yeah. I
yes,
was like, oh
just
man,
like the Chuck E. Cheese band.
that's the part where I fell in love with it, where they had the character come in and they were all in silhouettes and they had that cool like red background. I was like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
eyes lit up.
yeah. And I was like, oh, that's trippy. And then I was like, they're not gonna show them again. And then they did, and I was like, I don't know. It was just part of me was like, yes, you went beyond just having statues. You actually went and did some cool stuff with the characters. You actually like expounded upon like the Marvel, and they look just like the cats. Like I was like, man, okay, like boom, I'm in it. And then then they start having this fight, chopping the heads off, and then robots. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Well, this is cool, but damn, like
Yeah, I suspect they were robots from the minute they walked in there.
I was hoping they weren't robots, but
I had a strong showbiz Chuck E. Cheese kind of vibe.
the way they all just kind of sit there static, or
Yeah, the way the
Well, the
limited
movements were kind of weird. Yeah.
yeah, the limited movements that they were doing, staying seated the whole time. It had a very Wizard of Oz kind of vibe to it.
that's fair. And like in the comics, they're very static characters. They don't really go out and do Spider-Man type poses. They're very stoic people. So I wasn't surprised by seeing it. I just like the fact that they actually attempted, or Disney Plus, or they actually attempted to say, here are the characters and create them. Now like Kevin already did the mega spoiler, so I did not see all that purging coming. I did not. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, they're gonna go ahead and
You mean pruning?
pruning. Yeah,
Yeah.
they cut all the
Pruning. Yeah. Prune the
purge is a
hedges.
different thing.
It may as well have been a purge.
Yeah.
I mean, they wiped out everybody. Like, who grabbed Marshall? Bam, getting pruned. Like they were like, this was about the weapon at this point. I mean, hell, the episode ended with female Loki holding the weapon. Like, I mean, this was about life and death right
Well, there
here.
was an after credit scene too, though.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
There was an after credit scene.
Oh, you missed the after
I
credit
missed
scene.
it. I had to go. And everything, like, once it goes into what the credits are in like Italian and stuff, I'm like, I gotta get back to work. I didn't want to go back to
Oh
work.
yeah, you got to watch that because at least one of my questions I was going to ask is like,
Okay, go ahead.
what does pruning really mean?
I've often wondered that. I've often wondered about the whole pruning thing. I've actually wondered in general about how that worked, because I mean, there's the introduction of this concept, and I don't know if this conversation's all over the place, if we need to structure it a little bit better, because it all just seems like we're attacking from different angles as opposed
Well, I think we're attacking from the back and we're working our way front. It seems
Well,
like
he
'cause
hit
we
like
did pick on that and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he hit like the major meat of the episode, in my opinion, or at least what made me gravitate and say, "Hey, this feels like a Marvel episode." But now we get deeper, where you're actually prudent to the
Well, it was a question that
Prudent
I asked,
edges.
like
prudent.
it was a question I think I asked in the first or second episode. I think it was the first, which is how are all these variants breaking the timeline? Do they know that they're doing it? Because clearly Loki didn't know when he broke the time that he had committed an offense, and now he was being judged and punished by the TVA.
The young girl at the beginning, what was she doing? She was just playing with some toys. Like,
There you go.
I assumed that was Sylvia,
And
that
was
is her. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's
like,
her.
I don't. Yeah, that's was like what.
Yeah,
is
no,
that?
there's no assuming that. Yeah, that was her. What I'm trying to say is, I was like, when I saw the very first one, I'm like, it seems kind of weird that the TVA is punishing people and obliterating people from the timeline on the basis of committing crimes that you didn't knowingly commit with intent.
Yeah, you
And
didn't even know what the law was.
Right, exactly. So that kind of opened up a whole new thing for me, which is, so are variants all innocent people? They were all just people who somehow stepped astray of the sacred timeline, so to speak, and now they're criminals.
But isn't it that they aren't even criminals now? They're just random people. They just need employees. So they're pulling them.
I don't.
I mean, that was my perception. I was like,
No,
okay, the first three were, yeah, okay, you did something bad, you're getting punished, blah 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 blah. But come to find out, no, we just needed someone to run this desk for the next 5,000 years, and so we're gonna pluck you out of your life, erase your timeline, and now you're here. You have no memory of who you were.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're just recruiting.
That was exactly my thought process as well, which is that what happens to you when you get pruned?
Mhm.
You get your mind wiped, and they just go ahead and just insert you now into the TVA as an agent. What Lee just said is exactly where I was going.
I mean, that makes sense, but I would like to think that. Well, I can't really say timekeeper because we don't know if there's another set of timekeepers or if there's a
one guy who's a
TVA,
timekeeper.
One guy
person that's
like
Yeah,
rogue.
like a
Back to
wizard.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, but the thing is like I would have to imagine. I'd like to say they have to give it credit to say this person must be able to do something in the future, so we're gonna pluck them now. Not saying it has to be destructive, but it must be something incredible to say let's just get them out of this now and then store it and whatnot, because that's what those characters do. So that's what I'm hoping it's just not like, oh hey, what you doing down there, you dancing for quarters, come on over here and join us. I just hope they picking people to have like better purposes,
Mhm.
which we'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the TVA a whole lot more evil because they're punishing people who haven't knowingly committed a crime.
Yeah,
So
but yeah,
that adds
Yeah,
to
yeah.
how evil the TVA is, and yeah, whether or not they're using people, as Lee pointed out earlier, to be office staff. And I do believe that whatever's happening, because there was a part where Sylvie explained it to Loki and again, I referenced this when we were talking in the non-spoiler section, when they finally had that scene together sitting on the rocks, and wow, like for the destruction of planet, like what a romantic, nice scene there.
right.
The whole
Right.
planet, it's purple, it's lit. There's these little rocks just flying past your head and just plummeting into the earth, the planet Lamentus.
It hits the water and
Yes.
it's like, what nice ripples.
And I was like, man, what a nice view. And they're just sitting there and just enjoying this moment. And I'm like, I never thought the destruction of a world could be so tranquil and calm,
Beautiful.
and peaceful and beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes,
it takes time.
it really was. It's like, man, I'm really digging this vibe there. But Sylvie says something to the effect of that, like, the universe wants to break free of the sacred timeline, so it creates chaos.
Creates chaos, yeah.
And possibly it what she means by creating chaos is in the form of variance, and she kind of refers to herself as like, like I'm born the god of mischief, and that was enough to put me on the TVA's watch list or whatever. And then once it gets too far down, the TVA feels like we need to step in, shut this down, and set everything right the way they feel like it needs to go. But there's this concept that the universe is trying to correct itself and have multiple timelines.
Yeah, branch out and see what's what.
Right,
Yeah.
not just this one sacred timeline, and that's the TVA's thing. So it does give you the impression that there is at least one guy, and if you saw how her name is Renslayer, right?
Yeah.
Ravonna Rainslayer.
Yeah.
There. And if you see how she reacts to the whole thing, she comes across as a bad person, but she also comes across as a bad person that really isn't 100% comfortable with what she's doing. Maybe only 80% comfortable. I don't know. She definitely doesn't like it when people she works with get hurt. But there's another baddie out there. I get the impression of that we either have been introduced to, but we haven't associated with being a baddie yet, and that's a little bit odd. Or the only thing I can say is that they're going in that everyone said it when this first aired, when you got the Renslayer name, that she was Kang's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were predicting that Kang would end up being one of the 3 animatronic, rocket fire explosion guys. Thingies. But yeah, no, I really do believe, like, yeah, that clearly is not the case, but someone has decided to rule the timeline. It doesn't seem like it could possibly be Renslayer.
No, I don't think so. And if it is, let's say if it is Kang or like Immortus, that's another version of Kang, like comics canon, so can't say that's part of the show. But if it is, they would need a couple of episodes to explain that whole thing, and that's why I was curious about what I asked Lee. Like, that's a whole mythos you don't know anything about, but he's like, I'm good, I'm comfortable with it. So I don't know. I think they have to keep that villain basic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't see it being that. It would be awesome if it was of that scope, but I can't see it being of that scope.
So then, of everyone we've been introduced to, then who's the most likely villain?
Well, you could make the
King Candy.
argument that there was Rinsley had talked to a judge when she had Sylvie as a kid.
Well, there's also a reference to a second agent.
Maybe the guy that checks them in too. I mean, it could be that. Or maybe there's just like this bad guy that they need at least 2 episodes to spotlight. You know what I'm saying? But I can't imagine like, boom, I'm the big bad King. Like, King is just, he's too bad to fit in this genre right here. I don't see that. It would be awesome if it was, but
somebody who rules over time has got to be a pretty big baddie. I mean, this person has
yes. Go ahead.
Jurisdiction over time and space. I mean, Infinity Stones are like paperweights.
Paperweights, yes.
It's got to be a big.
Mhm.
I mean, well, okay, so you could make the argument like you still have that one clue about what the horns, right? I mean, do you still think it's Mephisto? Do you think it's maybe Nightmare, someone like that?
Well, I think it's like, again, I brought up the whole Mephisto idea because they point at the pane glass or whatever it is, or it's stained glass window, and like, oh, we've dealt with that devil before. He's scared of us. Is basically what Owen Wilson's character says, Mobius. But that's when he's thinking that we're the good guys, and whoever he's seen in that window is a bad guy. So yeah, I think maybe it's just that reference just didn't mean anything. Maybe it was just a attempt at a red herring. It's possible, but I mean, what does Mephisto really have to do with time?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's crazy to speculate, but I'm starting to like break apart when I read the books and what I'm seeing in the show. I mean, I could make a leap and say, who's the C-15? That's the latest cop.
C-20, B-15 is the head cop, and then C-20 is the one that got killed, I think.
And B-12, there's
that's good.
That's a nice vitamin, yeah.
Good for your skin.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And PS2 is an old.
Yeah, see, we don't know how prudent works.
Yeah, CB4.
That's good stuff.
and UB40. Don't forget UB40.
Yeah. Oh, UB40.
Hey,
right.
what about B-52?
B-52.
Oh, yeah, B-52. Yeah,
Bingo.
there you go.
Bingo.
Yeah, red, white. There you go.
All right. So, no, I mean, we can go down the road of speculating.
We should back up. There's a few more episodes left. Yeah.
Up to y'all. But,
yes, absolutely. But I mean, basically, what I think about the big baddie is I think this is set up to release the big baddie, so it carries them all the way until next year. Granted, it's not going to be part of Black Widow because Black Widow was supposed to come out before all this. But I think that'll be kind of like Thanos was being like clips in the background of the original phases and stuff. Then so could be this big baddie that carries us all the way through Doctor Strange's next movie a year later. Who knows?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's if you follow what they've done up to this point, it always the second to last episode is always the big reveal episode, and then the last episode is all about the conflict resolution.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I think that's what you're going to end up seeing happen is that everything that's going to be revealed is going to be revealed in this next coming episode. I'm sure they'll have a couple of other things they let happen aside. Yeah. But I think you're really, if you haven't been introduced to a new villain by next episode, then the call's coming from inside the house and it's either Mobius and he's just pretending to be somebody or
Ravonna, she knows somebody, or one of those timekeepers is actually a real life bad guy and fake the death of the other two or something like that.
Oh wait, I know who it is, guys. The big baddie's Lady Sif, and she comes around and just knocking everybody in the nuts. That was
funny, but I saw that coming. That was one of those things. If we get back into that, like when I knew once he was in the thing, I don't know why. I just was like, yeah, this is a loop. She's gonna come back around again. It was cool to see it though,
I
but
thought that was Xena Warrior Princess.
no, that's Lady Sif, the
So
lady from
I
Blind
was like, why
Spot.
is Xena Warrior Princess on this thing?
Zeta would have like flew on his head or something and kicked him with a horse.
There's a
But
similarity. There
yeah, but it was kind of that's that first half of it is where I just was watching it, and like you said, they were on Lamentus. That was just kind of chill to watch. You
And
didn't see
that's
the
what I was talking about too with the erectness thing. I was referring to when they started, I guess, having whatever relationship that was, it caused that spike, which of course caused them to be detected, and then they got saved. So
I mean, hey,
that's what.
everybody knows when you love yourself, things go up. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
nature. But yeah,
it is.
I wasn't. He's like, yeah, no, it's I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to kind of be like, man, you left me on this plane, we're gonna die, da 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 da, because I thought that's where the last episode left. But it was a chill conversation they had, and I'm not gonna lie, I took my lunch break to watch the show. They got to that when they got to the interrogation part, I went to sleep. I had to rewind that twice.
What?
Yes.
Oh man, when I got to the interrogation
Interrogation
part, I'm all like, yes, we're like, this is where I fell in love with the show. Like when I saw the whole back and forth between Owen Wilson and Loki, that's when the show really kind of got good. And all of a sudden, oh, we're back to this. And not only were we back to that, but Owen Wilson was pissed off, like he felt betrayed.
Yeah, when he went, I'm talking about. I'm sorry. When they first met up after you caught up with him, he was like, "Yeah, I'm done with you." I was good for
Oh, while
that.
they're walking through the hallway? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but once I got tired once Loki like figured out he was in the loop, and then like or Wilson or Mobius was like, "Hey, look, let's talk. What is this? You a cockroach still? Are you telling me the truth?" Like I had to rewind that like 4 or 5 times.
That was like the greatest line. He's like, all right, so
Yeah,
go ahead and tell it to me again. You say that the TVA is lying to me. So go ahead and tell me what that's all about, or is this just your cockroach survival
this is
mechanism
yeah.
kicking in? He's like, you let me go and stop beating me up, and I'll tell you everything you want to know. And he's like, cockroach, got
Right,
it.
yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was good.
No, it was good the 4th time I actually was able to rewind and see it. And that's something about Disney Plus. They need to give you a 30 or 40-second mark when you hit rewind. 10 seconds is not enough. Like it's just not.
Got to keep pressing.
Yeah, like boom, boom, and it would freeze and it would go to a part. It was just like the part, like But
Being
40
bounced at the
seconds I
beginning
wouldn't
sucks.
need. 40 seconds I wouldn't need. But like, yeah, once they got past that part, and it was a cool scene.
I thought it was a great scene.
And then he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're in love with yourself." Like, oh my god, come
Narcissist.
on,
Narcissist.
narcissist. Like, come on, this is making me sick. Or something. Like, I was like, yeah, I was with him. Like, yeah, that's crazy. That's messed up.
There was like a part there where he was like, yeah, let me guess. I'm the god of this. I'm the god of broken promises. I'm the god. He's like, no, you're just an a-hole and a bad friend.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I felt that for him. Like, I never like really connected. Like, oh, I guess, man, he considered Loki a friend.
Well, your boy left him in 2 episodes ago, like standing there in the Roxy Mart, like, hey, don't go in there. He just runs in there.
Well,
I can
right,
see
but I
that.
just didn't realize they were that close in his mind. Like, man, you're working in TVA. Surely you've seen more serious stuff than this. Like, he really took that betrayal to heart.
Yeah,
Well, it's like you're one verbal equal, and then he betrays you.
Yeah, that's kind of like that Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy, 48 Hours. Like, I'm sorry, I just keep being down. That's yeah. He's like, hey, you be who you are. But yeah, you're right. And I gotta admit, this is one of my favorite episodes with Mobius or Owen Wilson in it.
Brilliant.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
That's
it's
great.
like he was kind of in the middle. He wanted to figure it out. Then he took that leap when he took your girl's like timestamp or whatever. And
Oh yeah, the temp pad.
Oh, the temp
the
pad.
tip pad, and he was all smooth about that.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, look at that. He kind of wants to figure it out for himself. Like I was like, oh man, I was respecting that. So there were a lot of cool twists and turns where it was slowly just building me forward.
First time I watched it on my laptop as soon as I woke up. Like, I had it on my laptop. I was having coffee and working, and I had it not only to have it on my laptop, it was like minimized to a small screen. And when that moment happened, I'm like, why is he stealing her drink coaster? Watch it on the big screen back there. Oh, her dip pad. Okay,
They look like They look like Game Boys. No, not
Yes,
Game Boys.
yeah.
I thought the exact same
They
thing.
do, yeah.
He's a smart man too. He was like, "Hey, why don't you put that big old knife over there, away from me, and I'm gonna do this thing that would actually make you stab me." So very good.
Really,
I just
Yeah, no,
I
it was
just
brilliant.
like the one thing I like about this show is giving me like that a Blade Runner vibe. Like these people have this. Are they real? Are they robots? Like
yes.
you know, like and if you walk like if you're a robot, you're gonna self implode when you walk through this thing, and just this whole idea of like, do they even have a past? Are their memories even real? You know, were they actually someone in the past, or is that being made up? You know,
No,
so it's like this whole thing where it's like you don't know for sure if those are their real memories or maybe they were implanted with memories and all this other stuff. So I really like this vibe.
Who's variant? Who's not a variant? You don't know. You
Right.
don't even know what they
Mhm.
did. Yeah, no, I'm 1000% with you. Blade Runner analogy is one of the better ones to really explain what's going on here because at this point in time, anybody could be anyone, and you wouldn't be all that surprised.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Any other points we wanted to make about this episode, guys?
Well, but I want to go back to that Lady Sif thing, that time
No.
loop that they were in. I thought that was so awesome and so well done because it wasn't just like a funny moment. Like when you can do so many things at one point and really like, hey, you're bringing back a character. People have been like, oh wow, Lady Sif, she's back. That's awesome.
Like, yeah,
Great to have her back. And
Mhm.
cut her hair. That's so messed up. And she beat him up. Wow, and then she keeps doing it and stuff like, and it's like it's hitting on all those levels. And then as it kind of go, you realize it's kind of like forcing Loki to come to terms with his bad behavior of the past and recognizing, look, I just needed attention, and that's why I did what I did. And there again, it's accomplishing so many things at once, and one of those main things being that making him realize, like, I don't want to be alone. I really don't want to be alone, and I think that's kind of what you see happening there at the end. And that's the one part about this is a little bit weird with me because I would have rather Loki and Sylvie's relationship be more of a brother sister type of relationship because they're supposed to be like the same person.
Well, it got like a Luke and Leia thing apparently. So.
Yeah, there seems to be some romantic overtures, at least from Loki's side of the aisle.
Learning to love yourself.
Yeah, from his
And man, like
narcissist.
I don't know, man. Come on, if you saw a female version of yourself, you sitting there talking on the rock at the end of the world, wouldn't you be like, you know what? Damn, I'm not that bad.
But that's again another interesting question. Like, I feel like that's one thing that either they're purposely doing or they're badly doing is that I still don't really understand a variant because they're like, well, you're the same person, but clearly the two of them act and approach
things completely different.
Exactly. So while as I might see a slight bit of similarity in some of what they do, I see just as many differences easily.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that was really killing me too was oh god, was it D50?
C20? Oh, when she has it come to Jesus or come to Loki or come to Sylvie?
That's not that character to me. That's not that character to just like give in so quick. I get why, but I think that was one of those other things that didn't hate it. Kind of liked it, but it was like
what character came in?
The lady,
the first hunter, the one that got caught originally.
No, the second one.
No,
she got
the Captain Hunter.
Spot. You thought they were gonna fight.
Oh yeah. Oh, B12.
Yeah. B12. Okay. Yeah. Get all you out of it. And I think that character is like a very like hard-nosed character in general. So I think that the part was like, okay, well, you got me, and I want to know memories too. It's like, well, wait a second.
Well, she was breaking up at the Rossmore. She sounded like a little girl at one point.
That's exactly it. And so I think some of that was kind of like, well, I don't know you that well, but the scenes that I've seen with you hardcore. Like you don't take much stuff. And you're not about this very stuff. So I thought there would have been a little more back and forth with that. Not like she's my favorite character, so if it doesn't work well, it takes me out the episode. But I think that was a kind of thing like, hey, let's let this character lay down so we can just
Well,
push this forward.
two things.
Well, to be fair, I mean, she did get possessed when they were back at Roxcart. You know, in
That's
the
true,
third
but you
episode.
don't even know what her memory was. Like that's what makes you feel bad for CB40, you know, or CB20, that chick. When you see the memory of her being normal, and like, oh my God, yeah. Well, I feel bad for you getting beat up at a circus. But this lady earns the fact of needing to see what her memory is. She treated Loki like
So
dirt.
it's Lurky.
Loki.
So you wanted to see her memory, is what you're saying?
I'm saying that's a character that deserved to have that part of her explored.
No,
you know?
well, I can see what you're saying to an extent, and who knows, maybe it's a deleted scene somewhere. But
Yeah.
when you're dealing with a character like you described it yourself, she was a hardcore character.
Mhm.
So wouldn't it make sense giving her character that if she just saw evidence that she believes that the TVA is all nonsense and this is she's been being used and manipulated, that she would be hardcore enough to go ahead and then help the two Lokis escape?
Yeah, it's almost like you
sell
need
me a
her
little
on
bit
your
more
side because
on her giving that up is what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
mean, I
they
get
did a
it,
good
but
job selling that. I may be
she's
wrong.
got to be.
Go ahead, Lee.
I was just saying, like, that's why you need that character to break because she is so hardcore, and that's once you have that character on your side, then you can progress to make the TVA, the TSA, the bad guy now.
Yeah, but I mean, did you? I satisfactorily got the impression that she had broken.
No, I figured she broke. I just how she broke.
Why?
I think how can I put it? Like I figured she would have put up a little more of a fight or being like, hey, what is that you do? Or something like that. I'm fine that she gave up because she had to for the story to happen, but I think it wasn't fair. She's a mentally more strong-minded person and didn't just go into like a mental degenerate. I mean, she went and fought two guards and talked them out of it so she could free Sylvie there. So I think in that case,
but she was shook at the end of the second episode.
There's not a question about it.
There's a point where Moby's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
No,
you're like, what's going on with them?
Kevin's right.
Yeah.
She was shook then. You saw multiple scenes of her in the hallway being shook. She confronted Sylvie and her voice was cracking. It was like high pitch. Like I totally got the impression I didn't need to see what she saw. I can just make that up in my own mind.
Okay.
That whatever they showed her enough, whether it was just that her just with her grandmother just having a she knew that what she saw was real. Just as what we saw with whatever the first hunter who apparently supposedly
C-15,
right?
C-20.
Right. Just like all you saw with that was her and Sylvie having drinks at a bar somewhere,
which was fair,
and that was enough to lead her to being catatonic, saying it's real. All they did was have drinks at a bar. If you would have seen what you saw with B12, I don't know that it would have resonated as much as just seeing her reaction to what it was that she was shown. So I had no problem with that. The only problem I think I had with her was she comes in, she throws a sword, she helps free them, she unlocks, and then they fight. No one prunes her. Everyone else is getting pruned. Mobius is getting pruned. Loki's getting. No one thinks to prune the woman who just set him free.
Well, she fired. That's happening. That's totally.
Yeah,
happening.
she's not working there anymore.
No,
she's got.
That was a great cliffhanger too. That's my last point too. That was.
Don't put me down as a reference.
Yeah. Never.
But I want to know. I was hoping you'd see the post credit scene because I'm curious to know what the heck that was. That's what led to my question.
I know what that was.
Yeah. What is it?
What was that?
Basically, Loki wakes up and he's looking around. It's very quick, and he's like, "Where am I? Am I in hell?" And he looks around. And he's on this like weird little planet, and he looks up, and there are like 4 Loki variants sitting there looking at him, all of them different, but one's dressed in the traditional Loki garb. One looks like a Komodo dragon with a Loki helmet on. One,
yeah, I saw that.
There was a little boy holding him, and there was a brother. And I think he had a hammer. And it was this Loki variant, like, he's like, am I dead or something like that? And is this some hell? And he's like, no, but you need to come with us if you want to live, kind of thing.
It will be, yeah, if you don't come with us, yeah.
So it was like a bunch of Loki variants. So, I mean, you get the impression that maybe these were other Loki variants that have been pruned in the past, and they've all figured out how to find sanctuary on a new world because
or a different timeline.
right, who knows what pruning actually does to you, because that's again something that really hasn't been settled.
Understood.
Yeah, I could tell you this though. Like whenever I actually prune hedges, the little clippings don't necessarily just automatically disappear or die right off the bat. They end up in a different pile in another area in my yard. and
I
that's
would be
it.
pruning a lot of people. I think like if they was like, you ought to be buddy, hold up.
Yeah, but my point is like the clippings don't necessarily go away automatically.
Oh, you were actually
So
okay.
yeah, I mean this
it'll
will
hit
tie into
ground.
the post-credit scene.
Right.
But yeah, it's like they're off of the main bush, but they're off in another part of the yard,
I don't know,
still
Kevin's
dying on their
talking
own.
I think Kevin's talking about manscaping.
Yeah, there's a different plane.
I think that's the same thing. Yeah, I think that's the same
different
thing.
plane. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that makes sense because if you look at that spectroscope, whatever, there's the one line and then there's a line above it and the line below it. So maybe those are the lines no one should be on, but maybe they'll explore that later.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out in the next 2 episodes. We're slowly getting to the very end of this series, and we'll be right here offering. Yeah, absolutely, bravo
Well
on
done,
this one.
episode.
Loving this.
Yeah, man. 3 out of 4 episodes of greatness. Only 2 more left to go. This is must see at this point.
Yeah.
This is a push to the end, and we're curious to see how this particular series ends. So, guys, let us know what you thought about this episode. Make sure you leave a comment down below. And also make sure you hit like, subscribe so that you can get more wonderful content. And if you do enjoy our conversations and stuff, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Yes, we started out as a podcast, and you can find us here on YouTube. You can find our full shows here, as well as anywhere you access your podcast shows. So, y'all, on behalf of Danny, Eli, Lee, and myself, thank you for watching. Magic out.